We lived in the city because my dad had a government job there. Life was stable and predictable, until one day, tragedy struck. My dad passed away unexpectedly. With no choice, my mum, siblings and I had to leave everything behind and move to my grandfather's rural town. Life in the town was nothing like the city. Girls here didn't have to wear traditional clothing or follow strict customs. And most attended school, but there were still many unspoken rules. Girls couldn't go to the market alone, hang out freely, or talk openly with people outside the family. Anything we needed was brought home for us. Soon after settling in, I found out something that turned my world upside down. Before my dad passed, he had arranged for me to marry my cousin Noah. I'd never even met Noah, as he lived in the city with his parents. My uncle worked for the railroads. I'd only heard that Noah would occasionally visit the town during his vacations. When Noah finally came to town, I met him for the first time. He was charming, confident, and undeniably attractive. Everyone seemed drawn to him, but when someone introduced me as his fiancée, his smile faded. He looked away, visibly unimpressed. I was humiliated, but I didn't understand why. This was our first meeting. What could he possibly have against me? Later, my aunt explained everything. Noah's parents had told him about our engagement, and he had come to the village eager to meet me. But when he saw me, I didn't meet his expectations. Apparently, he told his parents he didn't want to marry someone like me. "She's too plain," he said. "I want to marry someone modern, someone stylish, someone from the city." Hearing this crushed me. I wasn't in love with Noah, but no one likes to be rejected so cruelly. He wasn't perfect himself. He just happened to know how to dress well because of his life in the city. Yet, he felt entitled to look down on me. That night, I decided that if he ever insulted me again, I'd make sure he regretted it. Time went by. I focused on my studies and graduated high school. Unfortunately, the town didn't have a college for girls, and the idea of me leaving town for further education wasn't something my family entertained. If my dad were alive, I probably would have been in college by then, living in the city and pursuing my dreams. One summer, Noah's family came to visit again. By then, he was in his final year of college. He had grown more polished and charismatic, even more admired by everyone in the family. But his attitude toward me hadn't changed. He ignored me entirely, as if I didn't exist. Soon, the topic of our marriage came up again. My grandfather, now elderly and insistent, pushed for the wedding to happen that summer. Noah resisted, saying he wanted to marry someone from the city. But my grandfather wouldn't back down. One day, I overheard my aunt telling my mum that Noah planned to talk to me directly to end the engagement. That was the final straw. If he came to me with his arrogant attitude, I'd be ready to put him in his place. From that moment on, I avoided him. If he was in a room, I left. If he tried to catch my eye, I looked the other way. I didn't need validation from someone who clearly didn't respect me. Then, one humid August afternoon, I went to the rooftop to escape the oppressive heat. I didn't realize Noah was already there. Hearing my footsteps, he called out, "Nina, can we talk?" I froze. He had never spoken to me directly before. "What do you want?" I asked, standing near the doorway. "I need to talk to you," he repeated, stepping closer. "Say what you need to say from there," I said firmly. Instead of speaking, he grabbed my wrist and tried pulling me into the room. His sudden action unleashed all the anger I had been holding in. Without thinking, I slapped him across the face. Noah looked stunned. He clearly hadn't expected this reaction. I didn't wait for him to respond. I turned and stormed downstairs, my hands trembling. The next morning, my uncle and aunt announced that Noah had agreed to the marriage. I was shocked. Why had he suddenly changed his mind? Was this some kind of revenge for the slap? The wedding was a blur. I didn't know what to expect from the man I was now married to. On our wedding night, I braced myself for confrontation. Instead, Noah sat beside me with a gentle smile. "You didn't have to slap me, you know?" he said, breaking the silence. I stayed quiet, unsure of where this conversation was going. "I wasn't trying to insult you that day," he continued. "I just didn't know how to express myself. I've always liked you, Nina, but I thought keeping my distance would make me seem more serious. The teasing comments you overheard, they weren't real. They were just me being a stupid guy trying to get a reaction from you." I stared at him, trying to process his words. Was he serious? Over time, Noah proved his sincerity. He treated me with kindness, often joking about that slap. "You know," he'd say with a grin, "you're the only person who's ever dared to hit me." Though I still blush when he brings it up, I now realize that moment wasn't the end of our story. It was the start of something unexpected and beautiful. Life has a funny way of surprising us. Nina's story reminds us that even moments of conflict can lead to unexpected connections, and sometimes even love.